Greetings and salutations, this is Rick. I do hope everyone's having a great day. We're en route to the allotment. The soil has arrived. Yes, it's taken 9 days to get here when it was supposed to only take 2 to 3. So it's been a bit of a nightmare because I've been trying to chase it up and everything. But anyway, it finally arrived today. I'm very happy and I can get on and get some stuff done. So let's get to the allotment and let's do some allotment-y things. Right, let's have a quick look at that. Probably not going to see that from there. A little ditch on the left. Looks okay, looks pretty dry. So I'm hoping the plot's going to be nice and dry. Just met my new neighbour, nice chap. I'm sure we'll be bumping into him from time to time as I film through the season. Right, I've got a few goodies in here that I need to sort out. As I said, the soil has arrived and I've brought some of it with me today so that I can get a few bits planted. I only bought 5 with me. I actually bought 30 bags in the end. And what I don't use for potting, I'm going to be using on the beds. What I'm actually thinking is where I put the cardboard down on the beds, I want to put some soil on top of them. Hopefully that's going to be sufficient to deter the slugs from staying under the cardboard. I don't know, we'll see. Right then, I've got a big box of potatoes that have arrived. I've got all sorts in here. That's quite a lot. I've got some shallots. I've gone for some sapro mirror, more shallot, anya, and they're kind of long looking. Now I haven't chitted any of these. I just haven't had time. It's been kind of a strange year where everything's kind of arrived a little bit late, and ordinarily I'd be kind of laying these out in egg boxes just to give them a start, but chitting is not completely necessary, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to. These are Kestrel, Maris Piper, King Edwards. We've got some more, some Maris Peer, not to be confused with Maris Piper. And last but not least, we've got something called Red Duke of York. I've also got those little purple ones that Jim gave me. So he gave me some plants that I've got in the greenhouse, and I'm going to have a go at planting all of these today. That's one of the reasons I brought the compost along. And once again, I'm going to grow my spuds in the buckets, not in these beds. I did have all sorts of trouble with blight and things like that in these beds, so if they're in buckets they're movable, so if we do get blight issues and things like that, I may be able to move them, perhaps move them in the greenhouse or put them somewhere else where they might not get infected. I don't know, I might be clutching at straws, but I know by putting them in the buckets they're giving me more options, and they do quite well. You've only got to look at some of the other YouTube videos. I'm thinking of Brendan actually, over in Ireland. He grows a lot of his spuds in the buckets and he does extremely well. Now, I've also got some strawberries. I got warned that strawberry plants are extremely expensive this year in the garden centres, but turns out Lidl, or is it Aldi? I always get those two muddled up. But one of the cheap German supermarkets are selling them for not a lot, and my sister very kindly bought me a load. So these are ready to go in the ground, and so I'm going to be planting these today. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes of them. So I'm going to be putting them in some of these raised beds with the ones that have been manured up, because I think these like a rich soil. So we'll give those a go today. It's nice to see the greenhouse starting to be properly populated with plants, and it'll be even more populated after next week, because when I go home I'm going to be starting to plant those seeds in those little newspaper pots that I made. Now, I worked out that if I use that newspaper pot method over the next sort of 20 years, the cost of all the pots I use is only actually going to be about 50 pence a year. So that's pretty good. You can't really grumble at that. Right, I think before I do anything else, I'm going to put the kettle on. Do you ever do that thing where you set off out with the best of intentions and you think you've got everything, you think you've packed everything, and then you show up wherever you're going to show up and you realise there's always something that you've forgotten? Well, I'm having one of those days again. I was going to bring some more lighting to install because this light, where are we? This light doesn't work. But never mind, I don't need it today, so it's not such a bad thing. In fact, that can be a job for when I'm not going to be so busy, because today is a busy day and I'm going to need to get on. Actually, it's one of the things when you film is you tend to not get as much done as you like, because it's strange. You've got to kind of think one step ahead of where you are, because you've got to figure out what bits you want to save to film and what bits you need to get on without the cameras rolling. But never mind, it always keeps things interesting. But I thought I would film making a cup of tea, because it's just got to be done. Right, some milk. Like a milky one today, and a little bit of sugar. You may have seen my last video that I put up, which was how to make a cup of tea. I knew it was going to be controversial, because whenever you put a video up about something that everybody has a way of doing, you will always be treading on someone's toes. But it was quite interesting reading through some of the comments about how people make tea. I didn't actually realise there were such diverse numbers of ways of making a cup of tea. I knew there were, people had different ways, and I knew it's quite a big discussion starter in the UK, because, like I say, everybody's got their way of doing it, and everybody thinks their way of doing it is the right way, including myself. So, when when you say to somebody, this is how you do it, you'll guarantee somebody say, well, actually, I do it this way. Oh, big spider, hello. So let's have a little think about what we're doing. I think priority is going to be the strawberries. I need to get those in the ground today. And what I'm hoping to do is, well, one of the beds out there is covered in cardboard. It's the only one I've put cardboard on so far. I'm going to lift up the bed. First of all, I'm going to see whether there are any slugs under the cardboard. It's probably a bit too early in the year for them, so it should be all right. But I'm going to try to break up the soil a bit more. And I've heard you can do that by banging it with the back of a fork. So I shall do that, get a better tilth, put the cardboard back on, and then probably plant the strawberries, and then I want to put some soil on top of the cardboard. And then hopefully that's going to deter the slugs. Although I think the slugs tend not to go for strawberries anyway, so we might be lucky. I might be wrong on that, but we'll see. Anyway, let's go make it happen. Right, one fork. Let's have a little look at this bed. I'm going to use the bed that I put the cardboard on before. Now this is still kind of an experimental thing that I'm doing. Actually, I'm going to take the chicken wire off here, because I think I may need to use this bed as well, because there are quite a few strawberry plants there. So let's have a look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up the cardboard just temporarily. First of all, I'm going to see whether it's turned into a farm for slugs. If it has, I might have to have a rethink on the whole cardboard thing. Several people have suggested it might go that way, but that's what I'm thinking. If I get a nice fine tilth underneath so there's no big gaps, and then I cover the whole thing over with soil on top, then hopefully the theory being the slugs won't kind of get in there. I don't know. Well, that's relatively clear. In fact, the only place there's a slug is right by where there was a hole. So that's worth knowing. That's looking good, there's no weeds in it. Still a little bit claggy, but it's definitely drier than it used to be. And I'll just give it a little agitate, a little mix up. And I'm not sure banging it with a fork is going to work particularly well. I think because it's so clayish, it's just all it's doing is kind of sticking it together. So I'm wondering if perhaps a little mini fork might do that. Still plenty of worms in here, so I'm quite happy about that. But no, banging it with a fork, it's just patting it together. It's too wet, the soil's too moist to break up like that. Let me get a smaller fork and see if I can do something with a little hand tool. Right, I've got 3 types of tool here. I've got like a little hand rakey type thing. I've got a little hoey type thing and a little fork. And I'll have a go with each one and see which one breaks up the soil a little bit better than the others. This is the fork. It doesn't really do a lot apart from push the soil around. Let's try the claw. That breaks the soil up a little bit better, but it's still not ideal. Let's try a little hoe. No, that just pushes the soil around. So, the claw it is then. So I want to get this down to as finer, flatter tilth as I can get. Get rid of any stones or big lumps of anything. So I'm wondering if it's the cardboard that's keeping the moisture in, which is a good thing because obviously raised beds, especially in the summer, have a tendency to dry out. So if the cardboard is helping to keep the moisture in, that's going to be good for the plants. It's going to be good for me because I'm not going to have to come here so often to water everything. But yeah, this soil is still pretty claggy, even though it's had the manure on it. It's originally was clay soil out of the ground, so it's not actually going to be that good. But as I say, over the years, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to rich it up just by adding manure and compost and things, and just kind of making it a really nice grow medium. Because any gardener will tell you, the important thing is what you're growing the stuff in. So all the time and money and effort that you invest into your soil, that's where your dividends are going to get paid off. Or that's what's going to produce, your benefits. That's definitely better. I just need to flatten that down a little bit. Right, I think I'll just finish off with a normal rake. See if I can flatten this out. I'll get it as flat as I possibly can with as fewer lumps and gaps as I can get, and that way the cardboard will sit nice and flat on it, and it should mean less nooks and crannies for the slugs to get into. Any high spots, I'm just going to splat them down a bit. Right, I'm quite happy with that. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the cardboard on it. Now the cardboard itself has, it's gone a funny shape, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get that wet, I'm going to water it down. Right, let's give this cardboard a little bit of a soak, and hopefully that'll allow it to shape to the soil. All theory at the moment, but it seems to be working already. So we get that nice and flat. Obviously the whole point of the cardboard being here is to stop the weeds. I don't want weeds taking over everything. So if I've got some nice clean new compost on the top, hopefully that's not going to produce a lot of weeds. There we go. Now there's not too many nooks and crannies under there, so I'm assuming that the slugs are not going to find homes to live. So the question is now, do I put the soil on first or do I plant the strawberries first? Let's have a go at planting the strawberries first. We'll give it a try and see how we get on with it. Okay, so here we go. One bunch of strawberries. Now strawberries apparently like a rich soil. This has been manured over winter, so hopefully there should be lots of nutrients in here, and in an ideal world we'll get some decent strawberries out of it. I've just had a thought actually. If I plant these now and then put the soil on top, I may end up burying the growing bits of the strawberry. So I'm going to put the soil on first. I think that makes sense actually. Let's give it a go. Now when I ordered this soil I actually thought I was getting John Innes #1, but what I've got is what's cleverly described as #1 seed sowing, peat-free alternative to John Innes. So just shows you've got to read the small print before you do ordering, but I'm sure it'll be fine. This is the first time I've got to look at this stuff, and well, it's nice and dark, a little bit, definitely got some sand in there to break it up. It's organic, and oh, it smells really good actually. It's got it. Oh, that is a nice smell. Yeah, okay. So far so good. I'm quite impressed with it. So I wonder if one bag will be enough to cover up this cardboard in such a way that the slugs won't be able to get underneath it. I think we'll be okay. I think this will be okay. You know what? I think this is quite a good way of growing things at the moment. Ask me again in a few months' time. So that looks like a great growing bed. I'm kind of looking forward to getting the strawberries in there now. So obviously the theory here is there's no weeds in this stuff. This is kind of, you know, brand new compost. There's not going to be weeds sprouting up from it, hopefully, or if they are, they're only going to be, you know, few and far between. Because the layer of cardboard there's going to be no weeds coming up from underneath, and hopefully this is all fine enough to deter the slugs, so they're not going to be kind of looking to burrow under the cardboard. So all I've got to do now is get the plants in. Right, here we go then. Now I've got a little sharp trowelly, long trowelly thing. I think the instructions is 18 inches apart. When I looked it up on the web, 18 inches is kind of 1.5 foot. So I'm thinking kind of 2, 4, 6, maybe 8. We'll go for 8, I think, and hopefully that'll be just right. Obviously where I've wet the cardboard, it's made it nice and easy to cut through it. And hopefully, if I pull that up, that'll just go in there nicely. Oops. There we go. One strawberry plant. So I've got myself some bits that might help prevent that. I've got some netting, I've got some scissors, I've got some cable ties, and I've got something called flexi balls, which are used for building frameworks over which you can put a net. So I think I'm going to have a little play with these. These are just little rubber balls that are designed to go onto canes. Let's take a look at one. I'll show you up close. Although these holes seem a little small for the canes I've got. This is a flexi ball, and the idea is that you can make a quite a reasonable net framework without having sticky up bits, because obviously you can just cable tie canes together, but you can have these sticky up bits, and if you're trying to put a net over it, they're going to catch and snag on these sticky up bits. So I'm hoping that by using these things, that they're not going to be as catchy. I think they will still snag, but not as much. Anyway, let's have a go and see if I can make some sort of netting frame. I think what I'll do is I'll keep it quite low, and I'll just make a single frame to cover all 3 beds. Although I could, if I'm thinking ahead, maybe make one that would fit over all 5 beds. That would probably make more sense. Right then, there we go. That is quite a good little net actually. I'm quite impressed with that. I've got a load left over. Now I've set this up temporarily tonight. What I've been doing is using these little spike things that I found in the shed. But what I can do is when I come back next time, I'll bring some little map pins with me and I'll stick them in the sides of the beds, and I can hook this over those. And at the moment they're just spiked into the ground down there, but I shall sort of trim this off when I'm down next, but hopefully that's going to keep the foxes out, and obviously I can still water. It's just going to be a bit of an issue if I need to go in and weed, but hopefully with little map pins I can just unhook it and go in and do weeding quite easily. So I'm quite pleased with that. As for these rubber ball things, to be honest, the holes in them, well, they just weren't the right size for the bamboo that I'm using. I've sort of made them work, but I think in all honesty, just some cable ties, it might be a little bit more snaggy, but I'm really not that worried, because you're not going to be lifting this off and on all the time, hopefully not anyway. So I think in future I'm just going to stick to cable ties. Now, I was going to do the spud planting thing in there on the table, but because the sun's out and it's such a lovely evening, it's really quite mild today as well, I thought I might as well do it out here. So, spuds, pots, spuds. I'm going to go for the 30 litre pots this year. Hopefully, obviously smaller pots are not going to need so much soil, and basically, whenever I've grown spuds in pots, what normally happens is you put a couple of inches of soil in, you put your seed potato in, and then you top it up with a few more inches of soil, and then the idea is that when they grow up, you add more soil. But what's historically happened is all the extra soil that you add is generally doesn't have any spuds in it. It's literally, you end up taking this much soil out before you actually get to the potatoes at the bottom. So I'm just going to be sort of shallowish planting this year, and hopefully that will save on a lot of soil, because I'm using shop bought compost, so I don't really want to be wasting it. So all I'm going to do is put a couple of inches of soil in the bottom there, break it up, make sure it's all bedded down. There we go, and then let's crack open one of these spud things. Let's go for something I haven't grown before. It's got I'm quite interested about these things actually, which is called Albert Bartlett Anya seed potatoes. They're kind of long, almost like sweet potato shaped, and I think what I'll do is I'll put 2 spuds in, or 2 seed potatoes in each pot, and I'll just cover them up with a little bit more soil. And for now they're going to live in the greenhouse, because although the weather is absolutely beautiful right now, we still have the danger of frosts, especially at night time, and especially on these clear, if we get really clear starry skies, that's when the frosts really kind of kick in. So for now, obviously need to label it. This is the Anya. Here's a label I made earlier, so I'm just going to pop that in there, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to top them up anymore. Obviously, if potatoes start appearing, sort of peering through the surface of the soil, then I will top them up. But I think the whole earthing up thing, from just purely from experience and from other people's experiences as well, it seems a bit overrated. So it'd be a case of watch this space and see how we get on. But basically, that's a half full bucket, and I'll let the potatoes do their thing without topping them up. And like I say, I'll only top them up if I see potatoes starting to push through the soil. So I'll keep a careful eye on them this year. But they're going to basically live inside here. I think I'll put them up on the table for now. But when the new seedlings come along, I may have to change them. I can actually probably put them down underneath and get away with that, because at some point within the next month or so they'll be coming outside. So that's the plan anyway. So let's get some more soil in there. I'll plant some kestrel. Here we go. Now, Allotment Diary Dan, he is quite a fan of these kestrel, so he seems to recommend them, so I think I'm going to have a go. That's the end that this grows on, so I'm going to put that down so the little eyes are sticking up, and I'm just going to go for 2 and see how we get on. 2 might be too much for this little bucket, but we'll see. I might plant some with 1 and some with 2. Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, when Dan was going on about kestrel, I think he was, quote me if I'm wrong, but I think he was saying that they're quite a good show potato because they're very consistent. So if you're into showing and going to shows and competitions and things, these might be worth going for. Obviously I've never grown them before, but I'll give them a go. So just break up the big lumpy bits, and there we go. So we've got 2 kestrel in there. That's all I'm going to do. Obviously I've got to water them, make sure that they stay moist, and when they grow, once again, I will only earth them up if I think it's necessary, because like I say, when I've earthed up in the past, there's been no produce in the earthed up soil. It's all been sort of below where my hand is, so there's kind of no point in earthing up. That's the theory I'm working with. But like I say, if we do see them poking through the ground or pushing up through the ground, that's the time to earth up, because obviously if the light hits the growing potatoes, they go green, and then you can't eat, you can't eat the green bits anyway, because I think they're poisonous. Right, I'm going to get on with these and get some of these planted up, and I'll come back to you shortly. So, that's it for another day at the allotment. I managed to get quite a bit done today. I'm quite pleased about that. Basically everything was hinging on the soil arriving, which arrived about 6 days late, so it sort of set me back by a week, but never mind, that's all done now. So I've managed to get all of my potato, well, not all of my potatoes, but I managed to get every single variety of potato planted. I shall plant some more when I come down. I've still got some more buckets and things, and I might put 1 or 2 potatoes in these beds, but it depends, because I've got so many varieties of fruit and veg and seeds and things. I'm not sure I've got enough beds. So things could get a little bit interesting later on. I might have to do half and half beds, but we'll see. But I will certainly be planting some more potatoes anyway. I've managed to plant all those strawberries and make those beds in such a way that hopefully they're going to be weed free for a good long time, because I've got that sheet of cardboard underneath, and hopefully it's protected enough so that I don't get slugs living under the cardboard. We'll have to see on that one, but I think it will be okay. There's a heron flying over, big old beast of a bird. And anyway, that is it from Rick's allotment. The sun's going down, and I don't think I'm going to have much light left. It's actually starting to get a bit dark. I can feel the chill in the air. So I will be leaving my potatoes inside probably for the next few weeks, because obviously any danger of frosts and the potatoes are not going to fare well, especially in buckets. So they're going to be staying in for a few weeks until I'm perfectly happy that we're not going to get any more frosts. So that's it from the allotment. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.